Good Wednesday morning. I got to say, things are getting a little bit scary for me because everything that I want to happen is happening in sports over the last couple of days, and this never happens to me. So I am very confused because we've got now the Phillies out, which I was rooting for. Back-to-back Max Scherzer disasters, even though the Rangers ended up moving on to the World Series. The Vikings won on Monday night. I moved on in my knockout pool, and like 200 people got knocked out by the Bills. So I'm thinking like I'm going to be walking in New York City today and a piano is going to drop on my head because there is no way this hot streak can continue in the way that it is continuing. Something bad has to happen. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, my boy's on a heater. I like it. You know what you should do? Open your Jack Pocket app right now.
Oh, it's a good idea.
And get yourself, some numbers here.
Good idea.
And right before Al and Eddie had finished, they were talking about how Mike Tomlin says, we got to do routine things routinely. And I was asking Al, and Al stayed in here. I asked him to stay in here because I wanted a little information on in regards to what he does that's routine around here. So our show's getting ready to get started right now.
Yeah.
So you have a routine.
Yeah, I should be in that other room right now.
Doing what?
Well, I'll have to get the podcast descriptions ready. What are you guys talking about? I tape those in. I get the commercials ready. I wipe down the phones so that I can start yelling at the callers. That sort of thing.
That's your routine.
Yeah. I open up all my windows.
So go do your routine. He wipes down the phones.
Yeah, he wipes down the phones.
I think he's the only one that uses the phones.
You know what? I do this a lot, so it's sort of hypocritical, but nobody loves the monitor like Al Dukes loves the monitor. Like, he loves looking at himself in that monitor.
Oh, yes, he does.
Like, he just stared at himself getting up and the hat and everything. Like, he was all about how he looked on TV.
Look at him. You can see how he's doing that.
Yeah, but by the way, he throws the Mets hat on today, one day after proclaiming his love for the Philadelphia Phillies. What a joke.
What a joke is right. And you talk about, things going our way. I mean, Philly loses last night. I fall asleep after the first period. Rangers Flames, wake up this morning, check out the replay, and, the Rangers win 3-1. I'm feeling pretty good. That's 2 in a row out west. I mean, things couldn't be much better than right now.
Yeah.
And then I gotta think that, what's the next thing that's going to happen that you feel like, okay, this is going to be like a good week. Probably the squash spot for the Jets over the Giants.
Yeah, maybe. Well, also, we are up for a Marconi tonight for personality, major market personality of the year, and also station of the year. So that's probably the thing that's going to even out is that we won't win. Finally, my hot streak will end, and we won't win either one of those things. Okay. So then we'll sit there and tonight not take home an award. That's probably what it is. But I am on a heater, so maybe this is a good thing. I don't know. But when you're on that heater, you can't enjoy the heater.
Let me ask you a question.
Because you're just waiting because you know the heater's going to end.
But who else is up for like a Marconi?
Well, we've talked about this before. There are a couple of Dallas stations, morning shows in Dallas, and there's also a man who passed away earlier this year named Lynn Bremer, who was a Chicago
legendary, right?
Legendary, much beloved.
Yeah, you got a shot. No shot.
So, I mean,
that's all right.
You would think, but we're also up for Sports Station of the Year. So you can go.
Why our teams stink?
But that's it. That's what makes you a great sports station of the year. When your teams stink and you still do well, right? That would be the thing. So yeah, I mean, I would think that just out of respect, maybe the family shows up there. I don't know. That's a tough spot.
It's like the people. Very tough spot.
It's like the people who were up against Heath Ledger after he passed away during the Oscars.
Yeah, but he was great as the Joker. You know that.
Yeah, well, so was Lynn Bremer for what he did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if you lose tonight, it's no big deal, right?
If we lose, it's a we
thing.
It's not a you. I'm not. It's me and you that are up for it, not just me. So yeah, that's so that we'll see. Maybe the heater can take. I'll tell you right now, this would be the heater of all times if we end up taking that one home over the man who passed away. That would be incredible. That would be like then. And by the way, I did just buy a Powerball ticket too.
Okay, good. I'm not sure who the gentleman that has passed away you're talking about. How long was he And did he die suddenly? Was it something that
No, I think he was dealing with cancer, I believe.
he was?
And I ended
that's
up
going to be a. Oof.
I ended up playing this the other day. Well, actually, it was one of the days you were off in the summer where we had just been nominated for this. And then I found out about Lynn Bremer and him passing away. And I was watching the show The Bear, which is set in Chicago, where Lynn Bremer it was broadcasting from for his career. And the show The Bear started like that later that day. I was watching this when I brought it up on the air with him talking to start the episode on his radio show going, "Hey, it's your best buddy, Lynn Bremer. I'm so happy to be alive." And I was like, what? It was so freaky.
Well, that is weird, man.
I was like, all right, I got
you're
it.
done.
I got it, Mr. Bremer. Like, you got this one.
You're done.
If they end up giving you the award, then you get the award. It's fine. We'll see how it works out. But I got my WFAN quarter zip on. It's like a double XL because when I got this, I was a good 50 pounds heavier than I am now. But I'm feeling good. But yeah, so last night was awesome. I just when your teams are bad and your teams are out of it, the only joy you can get is when the teams that you hate fail on a large scale. And watching the Phillies for the last 2 years enjoy themselves in the way that they had, and I understand they lost the World Series last year, but then to come back and it's even more intense, and everybody's giving credit to the Phillies fans, and oh, look at this, look at that. You got these turncoats in there, Al and Eddie talking about how they love the Phillies, and to watch them go down to the Arizona Diamondbacks last night at home, and they have to walk out of there. I would rather, and I mean this, I would have rather had the season that the Mets had, where I was emotionally detached in June, than deal with that last night.
Well, that's what makes it so sweet for us.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. Yeah, you got, about 45,000 people going home disappointed, and I don't necessarily know that there were any Diamondback fans there other than family and friends, right? I mean, that's about it for them.
Yeah. Well, who would want to go? As a Diamondbacks fan, you'd probably get the crap kicked out of you.
If you had picked before the season started the Diamondbacks and the Rangers in the World Series, how much money do you think you would have made if you, let's say, laid down $100 on that bet?
Oh, I'm sure it would be, it probably would have been at least plus 10,000, something like that.
I saw the Rangers were 50-1.
Right.
And the Diamondbacks were 125-1.
Wow.
Yeah. So you
Well, there you
combine
go.
that, and you got something.
I mean,
something
and at the
crazy.
beginning of the year, the Rangers had DeGrom, and everybody
Yeah.
thought that was going to be a big part of their pitching staff, and it turned out not so much.
Yeah, not so much. And Scherzer now is apparently dealing with a cut on his hand in addition to his oblique and his shoulder and his this and his that. So I don't care about the World Series at all other than Max Scherzer pitching, and then I'll bop in on my FanDuel app and bet against him somehow, some way.
You know what I am now? I am officially a National League fan.
Oh, you're back to that now?
Yeah, 100%.
National League.
I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks now, man.
Yeah, I have no rooting interest at all in this thing.
Tommy Pham's my guy.
Yeah, no rooting interest other than I want Max Scherzer to fall on his face. And then, by the way, you get this whole thing where it even got to the Diamondbacks where, as Jerry played it yesterday, Chris Mad Dog Russo says he's going to retire on the spot if the Diamondbacks come back and beat the Phillies in Game 6 and hit 7,
he's done
which they
now,
did.
Right? He's done?
So I guess he's done. But Torey Lovello, the manager of the Diamondbacks, was asked about it before the game. He said, "Yeah, I'd love to see him quit." He goes, "I know Chris. I'd love to see him quit." And then in the clubhouse, I know Jerry has the audio. In the clubhouse, they're chanting "Mad Dog" over and over again in the Diamondbacks clubhouse. So you can't say something like that and then not do it in some way.
Now you got to go away.
You got to figure out some way to honor that, right?
You got to go away. You got to quit.
You got to quit. You got to retire.
Yeah, I think it's over with.
I mean, and it's such a bad time in his career because he's having this resurgence on First Take. I mean, he's back in the mix, and now he's got to sit there and retire. So, I mean, that's got to be tough. I mean, I can't. I understand how confident he was. As confident in the Phillies winning this series as you are with the Giants losing to the Jets this upcoming Sunday.
But I'm not sitting here putting my job on the line for it. I mean, it's a freaking game.
I know.
It's a football game, and good luck to the men and the men and the coaches that are putting this together and whatever. I'm just saying I see what I see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. No, I know what you mean.
Tell you one thing, it's not going to be ratings gold for the Major League Baseball. I can tell you that.
Oh, God.
Oof.
I know.
So yesterday, I know that we were talking about the football ratings versus the baseball ratings.
And the reason why was Evan Roberts thought that the New York rating for Rangers-Astros was going to be larger than that of the 49ers and Vikings on Monday Night Football.
Right. So ESPN, ABC, 10.1 rating, 27 share, which means about, close to 19 million viewers. And then Fox and Fox Sports 1 Game 7 Astros-Rangers. That was a 3.5 rating and a 9 share. And basically it's about 6.7 million viewers, and that's triple the eyeballs for football.
Triple. Now that's national, right?
That's national, right? Now, here's the guy that I go to for this is like the go-to guy.
Yeah.
And he sent this little ditty along with it. Anyone who thinks an MLB game ever beats an NFL football game other than a local home market playoff game is a complete boob when it comes to TV.
Complete boob spot.
Yep.
Yeah, so we don't have the New York ratings, but I'm sure
I may
that
get it.
it's
I may
going to be
get it.
similar
I'll
to
probably
that.
get it this morning, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's similar to that. So, I mean, and if this guy is saying that it's because it's not local, obviously the Rangers, the Astros, the 49ers, Vikings, none of them are local New York. So if he's saying it's a complete boob spot, then that means that the NFL is probably tripling the ratings locally here in New York as well.
I think it's a complete boob spot because he was listening to Eddie and Al rooting for the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday.
Yeah.
And talking about how their love of the Phillies all of a sudden out of nowhere, and this is what baseball's supposed to be, and Bryce Harper's great, and all this other stuff. This guy had to remind me. He says, if you're a real New York fan, you hate everything about Philadelphia sports and their fans. And even if they were playing against North Korea, you would root for Kim Jong-un and North Korea over Philadelphia. You would have to.
Yeah, I mean,
hence the boob comment there.
Oh, okay, so that was the same guy.
Same guy.
I
think he was a little bit annoyed at what was going on around here.
Yeah, well, it's true, and I am with that same mentality of hating all things Philadelphia. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that I can't stand because they've beaten my team many times, and their fans are the Pits, and I couldn't even imagine going to a road game in Philadelphia as an opposing fan. The Phillies I've always hated because of the rivalry with the Mets. The Philadelphia Flyer fan is really not even someone who is fully developed. Like a Flyer fan is sort of like
a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like Multiplicity, Michael Keaton and Multiplicity. They're like the last one.
Yeah, like the what was the right before Homo sapien? There was like Homo habilis.
Homo habilis.
It was
Neanderthal.
like right before you got to the actual human being, like the caveman Neanderthal. That's really what a Flyers fan is. So yeah, we can't stand them. It is just great. And when I say, I mean, I fully believe this, that the feeling that the Philadelphia Philly fan had last night and how into it they were is not worth it. It's not worth the ride because you went to the World Series last year. So now you fell short of that. So you had all these moments where you cheer or whatever, you have a good night. I'd much rather have my team out of it like they were in June and just I wasn't hurt. We weren't hurt. We were annoyed. We weren't hurt. Last night was pure heartbreak for them, and that sucks. Like some of the worst moments in sports for me.
Well, it may suck for them, but it doesn't suck for us.
It doesn't suck for us, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like this actually, the Met fan had a better season than the Phillies fan. They did. We had a better season because we were emotionally detached. We were out of it.
June
didn't
1st.
care. We didn't have to sit there and watch the games. You could go out and do whatever you wanted. Didn't matter. But unfortunately for the Phillies fan, or fortunately from our eyes, they were locked in. They were changing schedules. They're spending all sorts of money for nothing. To get your hearts ripped out by the 84-win Arizona Diamondbacks in your building twice. You'll never forget that one. Never.
You know where the Diamondbacks season turned? When they added the hardest working Met, Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham, that was it.
That changed their whole dynamic in that clubhouse.
Yeah, damn
because
right.
that guy works hard.
Yeah, he came from the Mets.
He left the team of rocking
Loser.
chair guys.
Yeah,
taking
lazy.
it easy. Nobody working on anything.
Right, to a championship clubhouse. and he was the missing piece. But, like, what will we remember from this Mets season? Nothing, right? Nothing is going to be burned and etched in our memory from this past season.
$80 million worth of pitchers that are pitching somewhere else, and we're still paying them.
But you won't remember anything. Like, you'll remember, it didn't
Remember
work.
that time we had Scherzer and Verlander on the roster?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, well, whatever.
You know
we
what?
move on.
Whoever is sitting in these seats 30 years from now
will not be
is
talking.
going to be looking at Pro Baseball Reference.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at, like, the 2023 Mets. Let's just check them out.
Yeah.
Damn, they had Verlander and Scherzer on that team?
Right. Now, whereas
we're going to freak their, go ahead.
Whereas in Philadelphia, they will never forget this, ever. So, like, you don't need to check Baseball Reference. This now is on their ledger as one of the worst losses in Philadelphia sports history. And they'll never forget it.
They lost 2 games at home.
They will never forget it.
2 games at home, baby.
Keith, Staten Island. What's going on, Keith?
Gio, Boomer, how you guys doing?
All right,
up,
Keith,
man?
what's happening on this glorious day? It's going to be 70 degrees today.
It's gonna be beautiful. I have to disagree with Gio's take. How could you say Phillies fans had a worse season than Mets fans?
I just explained it to you in the last 10 minutes. So, I mean, if you want me to do it again, I will.
It's the emotional attachment
It's
to
the
Phillies.
emotional attachment that they had now. This season and the run up to that loss, especially when you went to the World Series last year and the expectation was to get back and win it, and you get your hearts ripped out by the Arizona Diamondbacks twice in your building when you were the big story.
Yeah.
This now is a horrible memory for them for the rest of the time. And when they think about the 2023 season, that's all they're going to ever remember.
Okay, right, my turn. Do you remember? I don't remember 1986. I'm 32 years old. So my fondest memories as Mets fans are going to the World Series and coming up short. So those were incredible. Those were incredible rides. What the Phillies just went through the last year, I can only hope my franchise could go to for 2 years in a row. Not to be out of it in June and selling off all these beautiful.
What's your worst memory as a Mets fan?
Worst 2007 was pretty bad. Probably the trade deadline last year sucked pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. See, this is what I'm saying. See, he made my point, then he tried to make his own point again. So when you're good and you get your heart ripped out of you, that's the worst. And you just proved it right there. When the Mets were good on the way to their division and then choked it in September, and you had all sorts of fun in 2007.
Crushing.
Remember how great they were? Remember they came back from 2006 where they went to the NLCS and lost to the Cardinals, and then they were riding high.
Hey, tell me about it. We started our radio program that September, man.
Do you remember anything that happened before that?
No.
So you made my point. And with my turn, with your smart ass, no, you blew it. You blew it with your take.
Hey.
And I nailed you, and I painted you right in the corner, and you couldn't get out.
You know, my really heart-wrenching memory for the Mets, the latest generation of Mets, and for their Met fans, was Terry Collins leaving Matt Harvey in against the Royals.
Yeah, and that was the World Series.
And that was the World Series, and that was heartbreaking because I felt bad for Matt.
Yeah,
at that time we all liked Matt.
Sure.
And he was going out there and he was going through his innings limits and all this other crap, and he really wanted to go out and get it, and everybody at the stadium wanted him to go out and get it. And we didn't get it.
Right, exactly. So this guy goes, 2007 was pretty bad. Oh, no, it was the trade deadline last year where we got Daniel Vogelbach and Darren Ruff. No, it's not. See, the worst things for me as a Met fan, 2000 World Series, I was in the building, Shea Stadium, watching the Yankees celebrate on that field. 2008, when they closed Shea Stadium and they ended up choking away the division again after 2007, I had to see Mike Piazza and Tom Seaver walk out and close the stadium on a horrible loss. That was awful. 2006, in the building, Game 7, Jeff Suppan, yes, with Adam Wainwright, but Suppan shuts him down for whatever, 6 or 7 innings. Those are the worst memories. So the Phillies got one of those last night. They actually got 2 of them back-to-back in Game 6 and 7. But for us, I've been mentally checked out on the Mets forever. I'm having a great year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice summer for you. That's why you had many distractions.
Right, exactly. So I don't have another one of those.
And people don't understand, like, we have to come to work here, and I'm not trying to make fun of anything. I'm just trying to tell people that we have like a PTSD associated with losing franchises. Like, we have to come in and talk about it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever you go or I go, what are we talking about?
all of this.
I mean,
Every day.
everywhere
I
we
know.
go.
Actually, yesterday, I go over to the local golf course, and I find myself in a heated discussion about Zach Wilson with the pro there, Bobby, and my friend Harry was in there too. And I'm sitting there, and I actually had to stop it. I said, guys, I just did 4 hours. I can't do this
Exactly.
anymore.
People don't understand. Like, anytime I run into somebody, it's like, well, what do you think? What about Daniel Jones? What about this? Should they start Tyrod Taylor? Should they fire this coach? Should they fire that coach? What about that manager? I'm like, everywhere we go.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's good that we get to come in and talk about it, get it off our chest, and then move on. But then it stays with us.
Yep.
You know, it's like flies on poop. You know what I mean? They just keep coming and coming and coming and coming.
That's right. And I love the fact that there's interest, and I love that people care about it. But you're right. When these teams are bad, you don't want to talk about it. It's not like you've got all these great memories to talk about. How awesome was this? How awesome was that? It ends up being like a whole nightmare, reliving it over and over, recurring nightmare.
I think like when people see us, they look at us and they go, I got a sports question for them. And they immediately start with the sports questions.
Yeah. And like I told Bobby yesterday, I was like, listen, man, the worst part about talking sports in person is I can't hang up on you. I can't. You're just there. I can't hang up on you. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan.